Works like a puppet. He stays in one place and must have his music box wound up. If not, a disfigured version of a random tune will pop out of his head like a jack in the box, and he will hunt down that tune. Once they die, the process will start over. Being a common twisted, he's slow and easy to avoid. But if you're being chased, it'll be difficult to evade him. Completing the machine will stun him for a moment. Box and tunes being on the floor will make the music box drain slower, and then winding it up will wind it faster than other tunes. The lights will constantly flicker on and off, working like red light, green light. You can move with the lights on. When they turn off, you can move. But Britney can. If she loses line of sight, before the lights turn back off, you will have successfully avoided her. Completing the machine will stun her for a moment. Britney tunes being on the floor will allow the twisted Britney to constantly be highlighted. After hitting the tune, their screens will distort and they'll begin to get slower. Very slowly, they'll begin to lose heart. Consuming the health item or exiting the floor ends these effects, but getting hit again speeds them up. Cosmo tunes are immune to the healing drain. The room will be flooded with ichor the more machines are completed, slowing you down but allowing Finn to speed up. Priming the machine is essential to make it out alive. Finn tunes are immune to the slowdown, and will also speed up the more the room floods. Flutter will sweep rooms quickly. If she catches you, she'll stick to you and attempt to drain your blood. You're guaranteed to lose a heart from this, but if you fail the quick time, that's all, you will lose another. Flutter tunes won't need to do the quick time, and will only be hit once. All items on the floor will be covered in ichor and unidentifiable until picked up. After picking up an item, you gain slowness for 3 seconds as the ichor covering the item in your inventory slowly falls away. Guys, iTunes can see items normally. Glisten will randomly apply the mirror effect, which can do any of the following. Cause every tune to appear as if they're a different tune. Reverse your controls. Turn your screen upside down. The effects will last for 30 seconds before swapping to another effect. Glisten will need to be watched like usual, unless there is a second twisted on the floor, in which case, he will follow that twisted and remain hostile from the start. He could easily gang up on someone at the other twisted spots. Glisten tunes will be immune to all of the effects. After exiting the elevator, Scoob will tie all of the tunes together, preferably in pairs, but if there's an uneven amount, the extra will be tied into one of the existing pairs. You will not be able to leave the tune you are tied to. The only way to do so is if both tunes pull away from each other, but it will remove a heart from both upon escape. Scoob's arms will be covering the ceiling like lines, and will drop down occasionally to find the tune. If it catches you, it will drag both tunes up to hug them. The only reason it causes harm is by accidentally dropping the tune on the floor after a few seconds, which will deal a heart of damage. Goob tunes can decide to stay with the twisted version, being able to hold himself up and therefore ensure that nobody else gets harmed. There'd be a keybind you can use to safely descend whenever you want. Take note that if you are still being hugged during panic time, Goob will squeeze you and take a heart before setting you down and letting you go. Bubbles will flow around the map. Upon coming in contact with one/popping one, the screen will distort. You gotta open your eyes. Silly, Poppy's easy to manage so long as she's the only twisted. Poppy tunes won't get to open their eyes. They can go around and pop the bubbles themselves to save others the trouble. Depending on the floor, odd or even, tunes will get the corresponding debuff. Razzmatazz will slowly cause everything to fuzz out, first sounds, then visuals, until someone steps into the circle and stands near it to calm it down. Of course, running in the circle will still make it freak out. Razzmatazz tunes won't get the fuzz effect or the debuff. Rodger will have 2 stations set up across the map, one being a real station, that will give out 10+ research on the twisted. If you bring him the research capsules you found on that floor, it'll have it placed into your inventory slots, But if you decide to click the capsule in your inventory instead, or if you pick up a capsule with a full inventory, it'll be used like normal. The fake one will instead give you slowness if you try to exchange research via having the research capsule you collected explode onto you. The effect is doubled / tripled depending on how many capsules you were holding. Rodker toons can see Twisted Rodker's eye as read through their own glass, telling them which is which. Twisted Rodker can only appear on later floors, when more Twisteds are added onto the ones that will appear. He can be the only Twisted. At the start of the round, each toon will be given slowness 1 and the floors will be covered in ichor-covered pipe cleaners and other sorts of garbage objects. Interacting with / bumping into them will trigger scraps. One of her tails will lunge out and wrap around you for a few seconds and you'll have to spam a key to get her to let go. She will always take 1 - 2 hearts of damage. Unlike Goob, she will grab as many toons as she wants. Scraps will stay in one spot. Only using her multiple tails to grab scraps toons will be immune to the slowness, but not the triggers. Trimpo will keep focus on the first toon he sees, ignoring any other toon regardless of stealth. The only way to lose him is to either hide, or get hit. Trimpo will snap at the toon he is attacking, biting them with the mouse torn into his head. Anytime you fail a skill check, you lose 10 tapes. If you can't lose exactly 10 tapes, she'll take a heart instead. Otherwise she wanders normally. And toons don't lose tapes. Tisha will instantly lock onto any failed skill check, getting upset if the place isn't clean. If no skill check is failed, she will be docile and only care about sweeping unless you bump into her, as in literally bump into her, not just step near her. Items will not spawn on the floor with her. If she's on the same floor as Twisted Gaikai or Twisted Finn, she will be constantly aggressive. Tisha toons won't aggro Tisha with skill check fails. Every toon gets a random debuff effect. She will quickly roll around as just her head, her body being curled up inside. If she bumps into you, she'll crawl out of her own head and attack. Toodle's toons will not get a debuff. If you are playing as a main toon, there's a random chance on later floors for your character to lose themselves. They'll physically tear apart, becoming their Twisted variant, which lets you play as a Twisted. You'll constantly slowly lose hearts, and can only gain them back by attacking others. Of course, main Twisteds can still appear normally without needing to be a player. So unlike other toons, main toons will not get a buff if their Twisted is on the floor. They will only be able to tank their lethal attack and only lose 1 heart instead of suffering the instant kill. Astro will set a sparkly haze over the room, causing tiredness. It's recommended to keep moving. If you don't, your toon will fall asleep and you'll have to button mash to wake them back up. The recommended strategy would be to use jumper cables, Wiimote, and valves on the floor with Astro, and if not, try not to stay on the machine for too long. Take breaks to move around and wake yourself back up before it's too late. Astro will target a random toon, making the tire effect worse for them and them alone. Once they fall asleep at least once, Astro will kill them and move on to the next. Stamina Y. Stamina will not regenerate on Astro's floor unless an item is used. Do not go near him at all. Pebble will be able to sniff you out and find you. There isn't any escaping him. Your only hope is to take things slow and go stealth. Shell is a unique case. None of the machines will work. You're just stuck on the floor with her for about 3 to 5 minutes, at which time a random elevator that may not even be the one you showed up on will open, and you'll only have a short amount of time to get out. Shell is quick and can stun you for a moment by stomping the ground before she chases. Stay away from her. Sprout will primarily target whichever toon has been healed the most during that run. If any toon has a slot open, all empty slots will be replaced by corrupted band-aids / medkits, which when hovered over will display overwhelming text. If the item is used, it will immediately kill you. Sprout crawls along walls to get to his target, occasionally lashing out vines or his own arms to grab anyone nearby. If a skill check is failed, vines will overrun it and you won't be able to use the machine for a while. V will flash ads on the TVs around the map as a general warning that she's on the floor. If you step too close to the TV and with ads, her wires will lash out and grab you. Then she herself will be dragged out of the television to attack. If her TV isn't looked at or stays nearby for long enough, it will emit a frequency that disables all machines temporarily. And, if there's other twisteds on the floor, will lower everyone's stealth as if they had used an air horn, thus letting any other twisteds know where you are. During panic mode, she drags herself out of the TV and hunts the nearest toon. She's also the only main to directly talk in-game, at least, besides Sprout, talking through the corrupted items. She'll scream at toons to look at me if being ignored for too long. Tommy possesses toons, causing a quick time to avoid dying. If you die to her, she will possess that toon and act like a regular canon common toon for the remainder of the floor. Balloons will float around the map aimlessly. Bumping into one will cause it to pop, exploding with ichor that will slow the nearest toon. The sounds will alert any twisteds on the floor to your location. Looney Tunes can move the balloons around safely.